Hey everybody, Chris Kanich here. This is CS361 Systems Programming. Let's get started. Today we're not going to be learning computer science itself. Today and for the next couple of lectures, we're going to be talking about learning how to learn computer science. And this is an incredibly important topic that I think is really going to pay dividends for you as you move forward in your career as a computer scientist, as a software engineer, any of those things. The long and the short of it, like, make no bones about it, a computer science degree is hard. There's a lot of abstract thinking involved, a lot of mathematics, a lot of science, a lot of engineering, a lot of all these different things that you really need to learn how to do. And it's not easy. It's not easy, period. But what you can do, what you can learn how to do, is be a wizard. We've got an amazing reading from Julie Evans, who's a super awesome computer scientist who was basically in a position that's a lot like your own. She didn't necessarily know a whole lot about how coding worked, but she did know that it was worth trying to learn. It was worth trying to figure it out. It was worth trying to do. And the amazing thing that she did that we're really lucky for is document it. She documented it throughout the way that she was doing that. And it was just wildly helpful. So another bit here of why we want to do all of this extra work on the front end to learn how to do computer science is that there's this concept of flow. I think a lot of people have probably heard of this. Maybe you're in a video game, you're just hitting every single thing. It seems like time is slowing down. There's this idea where you're in a state of flow that's something that's not too easy. It's something that's not too hard. It's just right in the middle, and your brain is just firing on all cylinders. It is awesome. For better or worse, computer science can be like that a lot. And it's not just going to be a very physical flow where you're doing really good in a sport or you're doing really good in a video game. Being in a state of flow in computer science is much trickier than that. It has a lot to do with this super abstract thinking where you have to keep a complex systems ins and outs in your mind in order to really figure out what the heck is going on. This comic I put up here is super useful for kind of explaining this whole idea where being able to think through a very abstract thing is very important. Now, the joke in this comic is just that some guy walks in and interrupts the person who's trying really hard to understand this really ridiculously complicated thing. But that's not going to be the only thing that interrupts you in one way or the other. There's a whole bunch of other things that can knock you out of that state of flow. It could be somebody barging into your office, just the same as it could be needing to Alt-Tab out of your editor and type in GCC space -O main space homework1.c and just typing it all the way in. As soon as you do that and you go back over to the other window to start figuring out what's going on, you're going to lose a little bit of that understanding of what's going on. So being able to use your tools in a way that they get out of the way so that you can do all this ridiculously hard stuff is the core of what I'm trying to teach here in this first module. We want to get the tools out of the way so that you can just use them to make things fast and get you to the hard but also very enjoyable part of doing computer science. So learning how to do this isn't actually part of the real curriculum of computer science, but it's incredibly important. MIT has a course called The Missing Semester that covers this stuff, and I'm going to be covering a subset of what they cover, but mainly the stuff that I know you need to do well in this class. And so there's a subset of it where we're not necessarily going to go, super ham with it. We're actually going to scale it back in certain ways, but we're also going to bump it up a little bit in terms of understanding a bunch of concepts that are actually going to connect with the stuff we're learning throughout this entire semester. There's a lot that you get out of this Tricks of the Trade module that has a lot to do with the core CS concepts that we're going to be covering over the course of this semester. So what you're going to learn in this module is a handful of really fun things. We're going to go over editors. We're going to go over the environment that you're going to work in, whether it's Mac or Linux or Windows. We're going to go over understanding how to bring in libraries, understanding how to keep an environment set up in a way that is tweaked so that it's really efficient to work in. There's other really important things like getting some debugging to work, getting SSH to work, getting Git to work, the version control system. All of these are very important, but they aren't part of like the syllabus of 361. They're just the things you need to know to be able to succeed in CS361. So once you get this information, once you get this going on, you're going to be able to get really, really dialed in. You're going to be able to just get all the extra crap out of the way, really, really quickly recompile, rerun your code. Computers are actually awesome enough that there isn't a whole bunch of downtime that we're going to get in this class from waiting for our computer. We're almost always going to be waiting on our own fingers and our own brains to figure out what to do next, and making sure that the thing that we do next gets us as close to our goal as fast as it possibly can. You should approach this module as getting better at doing computer science in a very practical way. We're learning how to do these specific things. So if you already know a lot of this stuff, that's great. I've got the lectures and I've got the videos set up such that you can scrub around, find things that are useful, find things that aren't, and just pick up what you need, drop what you don't. The most important thing to keep in mind over the course of this module specifically, but also computer science in general, and doing computer science in general, is asking yourself, am I doing something boring? Am I doing something tedious and repetitive over and over and over again? Am I making some dumb little mistake? If you are hitting this idea, if you are realizing this is the case, there's a really good chance that you can use computers to solve that problem. One of the coolest things that we can do with computers is use them to get better at solving computer problems themselves. It's kind of like, I was watching a YouTube video the other day about somebody who was making things at home with like a lathe and a CNC machine and all that cool stuff. And he said that one of the coolest things you can possibly do as a maker is make a tool so that you can make other things more efficiently. That really, really struck me as something that we do all the time. We're learning how to use our tools. We're creating little scripts that aren't necessarily useful to do the core thing that you're doing, but they are going to make the process of doing those things more useful. Once you have that done, once you have that in mind, once you have that superpower, you're never going to go back. You're just going to be hundreds of thousands of times more efficient than everybody else that has ever done computer science. I don't want to say I guarantee it because, that's a joke, but whatever. Cool. Let's do it.